Every morning, the countdown begins for the markets with meticulous research and analysis designed to help you capitalize on the trading day. Beaming live from the CNBC TV 18 Motilal Oswal studio.
Good morning. You're with us here on a fresh new edition of Bazaar Morning Call. We are coming to you live from the CNBC TV 18 Motilal Oswal studios. I am Prashant. With me, my colleagues Nigel and Reema. Guys, hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Tensions in Middle East escalating back home. The aviation sector and India is mourning. The death toll is rising. It's Friday the 13th.
Well, that's right. Very, very depressing news coming in the last 24 hours or so with regard to the plane crash. You have, Iran as well as Israel that are engaging out there. So, I mean, it's a Friday the 13th, and you don't want to wake up to these sort of cues, but that's what we are faced with today.
Absolutely. And those are visuals which are coming through. And with the volume up, you can hear the sirens going off, etc. So this is basically early morning. If you're just waking up to it, this is early morning today. Israel essentially striking Tehran, and now, of course, also kind of sort of indicating that they're striking some of the. These are reports, not confirmed, but taking out Iran's nuclear capabilities. So some of this is, of course, still ongoing, basically. More visuals, etc., coming through as we go along. All right, let me just quickly then take it from the top in terms of what you need to know as we begin this session. And there's only one thing, actually. So if you looked at markets and how U.S. markets left off at, say, 4 in the morning, they were nothing. I mean, S&P was up about 1/3%. Yields were well behaved. Dollar was down, etc., etc. All of that changed as news started to come in at around 5 our time this morning that Israel has struck Iran. So oil's jumped 7% as these strikes have happened. And I think between 6 to 8%, I mean, up and down. But basically, it's a very large jump that you have as far as oil prices go. There you go. That's the big move that we're talking about. 9% now on oil. So explosions rang out, as you heard for yourself, across Tehran, Iran, across various parts of the country. It's now, of course, been confirmed. There's a video of IDF, Israeli Defense Forces commander, essentially saying why they've done it and why, so it's official. It's no longer reports, etc., which it was about 2 hours back. Israeli military official has said that his country has targeted Iranian nuclear sites. Israeli forces say military operation against Iran is expected to last several days. So this is not, one and done, and it's not like. You sort of go in, surgically strike what you want and then come out. This seems to be well planned, and, Israel seems to be prepared to take out Iran's nuclear capabilities, nuclear facilities, etc. That seems to be the contention out there. President Trump is, and of course, Israel has declared a state of emergency to kind of anticipating strikes, some counter strikes from Iran. President Trump in the U.S. is convening a cabinet-level meeting. This is what CNN is reporting. And it's quite, strange. President Trump tweeted just earlier, a few hours back, that before these strikes started, and there was yesterday same time we were saying that, maybe the U.S. State Department is going to ask U.S. personnel to vacate in the embassy, etc. But President Trump's tweet did not indicate at all there was a big sort of flare-up coming, etc. But Israel, and these are reports, Israel is through media reports, etc., seems to indicate that they informed Washington, informed U.S. that this is essentially going to happen. But in any case, this is something to keep an eye out on. Of course, these attacks now significantly reduce the likelihood of a U.S.-Iran nuclear deal. Implications, of course, primary implications are with regards to oil. So just straight away to oil, the 200-day moving average for oil is, these are basically all the resistances. The 200-day, we are above it now. That's about 72. The next one is 75.47, I think, which is where we are right now. That is the April high, $75.47. And then $76.46 is the next resistance. So, we've seen a very sharp, almost with this 9%, yesterday's 4%, very sharp move. So maybe in the near term, these markets respect these resistances. The big unknown at this point in time, and then all bets are off, is if the Strait of Hormuz, which is through which a significant amount of oil capacity passes and which Iran has the capability to close. It's never been closed, by the way, and we'll talk more about this later. If that were to come through, I mean, then you're looking at, significantly higher oil prices. So we don't know. As things stand right now, these are levels you need to watch out for. S&P E-minis are down, which is US stock futures, index futures. Treasury yields are higher. Gold, this is typical risk-off, which happens. I mean, bonds are bought, gold is higher, and stocks are lower. I'll just put out sort of two on downside levels for both the Nifty and the Nifty Bank. Nifty, of course, ended below the 40 hourly, and it ended sharply down, 1% cut. Support here stands at 24,847 and 24,500. So 24,847 is going to get taken out straight away. That's a 20-day moving average. And then the 40-day exponential is 24,500. By the way, it's also the weekly close. And we'll see what happens in that sense. Bank Nifty has been down for 3 straight days. We got a decisive close below the 40-hourly exponential moving average yesterday. And support here stands at 55,711. Again, I mean, it's not very far away, and most likely we get that gets taken out right at the word go. But I think closing will be important to track as well. GIFT Nifty should give you a quick sense of how we are likely to start. It's 200-point, clean 200-point gone as far as the start is concerned, indicative start on the GIFT Nifty. Rima.
Well, news is also just coming in that the Iranian state media has reported that Hossein Salami, the commander-in-chief of Iran's Revolutionary Guards, was killed in the strikes. This is what CNBC, the global channel, is reporting. So it's all happening right now. Let's quickly revisit the statement that's coming from the White House, statement from Secretary of State Marco Rubio. He said, tonight, Israel took unilateral action against Iran. We're not involved in the strikes against Iran. Our top priority is protecting the American forces in the region. Israel advised us that they believe this action was necessary for its self-defense. President Trump and the administration have taken all the necessary steps to protect our forces and remain in close contact with our regional partners. Let me be clear. Iran should not target U.S. interests or personnel. Let's quickly once again revisit. This is the big story which is breaking, the market reaction that we're seeing. Prashant spoke about the 9.5% spike in crude oil prices. I think this is the biggest intraday spike that we've seen in crude prices in more than 2 months. U.S. futures under severe pressure. The Dow is down more than 600 points, inching towards a 650-point fall. Across the board, key U.S. indices are down 1.5%. And there is a rotation taking place into safe havens. So gold prices are now quickly trying to get towards their all-time record high levels of $3,500 an ounce. I think it's $3,440 on gold right now, 1.5% higher. Swiss franc, Japanese yen has strengthened. The surprising bit is that the dollar index is weakened. So typically in times of risk off or geopolitical uncertainty, there is rotation even into dollar. But today you've seen the dollar index slip to the lowest level that we've seen in the last 3 years, and it's around that 98. Once again, why is oil reacting so sharply? Because Iran holds significant oil production and it controls the strategic choke point of Strait of Hormuz. JP Morgan yesterday said that if Iran closes the Strait of Hormuz, then oil prices, according to them, could spike even to $120 per barrel. Back home to run you through the flows. Yesterday, the DIIs bought about 9,400 crore in the cash market. The FIs net sold 3,800 crore rupees. But all this was influenced by those large deals that we saw. And in Asian Paints, there is that confirmation that Reliance Industries did indeed sell about 3.5 crore shares, and lots more block deals, which we will discuss, will happen today. The promoters are likely to sell in the Jubilant Group stocks, so Foodworks, Pharmova and Ingrevia. And there is the Genus Power block deal too that will take place, likely to take place today.
Well, that's right. It's Friday the 13th, and we are faced with, a lot of headwinds actually for today's trading session. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not we come off the lows of the day towards the end of trade, because the much feared Israel has gone ahead and, in fact, attacked Iran, which has repercussions for crude oil prices. And that's why you've seen crude oil prices have spiked up. As the last time I saw it, it was up close to 7 to around 8%. And the problem is, the mutual fund industry was sitting on ample liquidity. But on a day-to-day basis, you're having, a few $100 million to $1 billion of selling that's coming in from various entities that are holding stock. And that's what's going to dry up some of this mutual fund, ammunition that they were sitting on. So those are, some of the headwinds that we are faced with. What about the index futures yesterday? Well, you had FIs. They went ahead and, in fact, they added some short positioning in trade, while the clients are positioning as well. should come up for you. So the FIs added close to around 10,000 contracts on the short side. They unwound some longs, while clients, they did the opposite of that. They added close to 6,000 longs and they covered some short positions. What about positioning on index futures? Well, the FIs continue to remain net short with 80% of their positions on the short side. Which brings us to the options data. The 25,100 call, well, that's been fairly active. 25,000 call as well has been fairly active, and the premium's around 140 rupees. The 24,900 put, well, that as well added close to 17 lakh shares, and the premium is around 200 rupees. Which brings us to the levels that we're looking at. On the upside, the recent high as well as going by the options data, this 25,150 to around 25,200, that's a resistance mark that we're looking at. On the downside, the reference point you're looking at is 24,500, and the range you're looking at based on the options data is 24,500 to around 24,700 odd mark. Stocks that we're going to look at. Before that, let's just keep an eye out on the Nifty Bank as well as the Nifty. The Nifty today will start below the 20 DMA, but you don't want to decisively break that. So you'll want to close closer to the 24,800 odd mark. While the Nifty banks, the first reference point comes in at around 55,700. Stocks we're looking at, because crude oil prices have spiked, it could spell better times for ONGC. They have valuation support as well, and the crude oil prices have moved up. So that's a stock that will react favorably. While we have HBCL as well as Interglobe Aviation, could see a bit of a negative reaction in today's trade. So let's see how it goes. For the time being, gap down start. The hope is at some point of time you get some kind of recovery going.
No, absolutely. And, so we'll see how this one pans out. So the oil marketing companies, all, of course, like yesterday, down 4-5%. And the upstream companies, ONGC and Oil India, again, like yesterday maybe. And this is, of course, a much more significant surge which is coming through.